Hello friend, welcome to my demonstration. Today I am discussing about the political unrest and political clamour that are being followed in our country. My dear friend, making false explanation or making a false propagation of history makes people, particularly the youngsters, bit diverted from their right path. They become whimsical, they become occupied by their false ideas and false belief and arrogance. They are involved and they are misused by the crooked people, those who have their vested interest in taking their supports. And these activities are making the youngsters badly affected, and they are not growing as very quality citizens. They are growing as uncultured, they are growing as uneducated, they are growing as unethical, they are growing as irreligious, they are growing as unreligious. In the name of religion, the things that are going on in our country, this is exclusively harmful, entirely harmful for the proper upbringing of them and the mental development of the youngsters. Because by making a false propaganda against a certain religion makes the people quite ignorant about it. They remain not only ignorant, they grow hostile, and because of their that type of feeling of hostility and ignorance, they do not have any time. They do not use their time in a fruitful manner. They do not think as to how they will grow as qualitatively improved citizen. They are engaged in different type of lynching, like mob lynching, and they are even treating their own brethren, their own counterparts of the same country, the citizens of the same country, as their opponents and their rivals and their enemies. And because of that, this will simply erode away all our peace and serenity in the country. If any group of people think that their activities won't just affect their life, that's true, because they will not survive for a long time. They will survive hardly for 10 or 15 years. But after that, what will happen? They huge number youth, they will have nothing to do. They will grow as hooligans and goons, and they won't be able to contribute for the proper development and progress of the country. We read in the history of Sri Lanka. Very recently, the Sri Lankan peoples were instigated in the name of their so-called superiority, and they followed the policy of that certain superiority by making only the Buddhist people more dominant in the entire country, and they started creating all sort of ethnic violence and fightings and communal unrest. And what happened that after that the country went in a deep ditch, deep canyon, where they found nothing except frustration and financial backwardness, and ultimately all the people, they got united and they rose against all those evildoers, and they ultimately changed the government. It happens. We already read in history of Germany. Then a very frustrated and very arrogant person who did not have any proper birth identity. He did not have any identity of his parental identity. That bastard person, his name was Hitler. He instigated youngsters in the name of their so-called religion, and they were misguided to carry on all sorts of hooliganisms and fightings and creating nuisance in the country. They kept on killing the opponents mercilessly, and they are very sober quality of a human being. Their humanity and feeling of being human were taken away from them, and ultimately he took the country towards a very disastrous Second World War, and it led the country to face a great defeat in the Second World War. Then, in this way, you see that our country also leading our youngsters just to make them united or make them assemble together to get crowded and keep on just pouncing over the other people, those who are not of the same faith or same religious belief. And they are making their fabricated different charges and also the plotting against the people of other religious group, and by this way they are just creating political unrest and destroying the peace and serenity of the country. If the country does not have peace and serenity, then how the country will progress? You know that Aurangzeb and his all ancestors were not the invader of the country. They were called, they were invited by the ruler of the entire Delhi and around different small kingdoms, and they invited Babur to come and establish peace, because they themselves were not united and they could not control that type of unrest and that type of fighting in the name of their ethnic differences or their political differences. They wanted to show their superiority over other by plotting one king against another. Then this thing is going on in a disguised face. The days of kings have gone, but some people are thinking them above all those kings and Raja Mahadhiraj. And because of that, they are again misusing the power of the youths, and they are being taken towards the further darkness. And this dark age is again going to be initiated in our country. We have to think all this. Babur has been symbolized as the just representative of the entire Muslim. This is absolutely wrong. The entire Muslims are not brought forth by the Babur and their families, because they are hardly number. And you know that after 57, you know that entire the Mughal empire got collapsed, and the British began to grab the entire Indian territory one by one. Then the Babur is not the symbol of that type of power here to control the entire political system. Rather, Babur's and its family entirely, they got disintegrated and completely lost their power. And the last Mughal emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar was exiled from India to Rangoon. That means treating Babur, who was a person of a distant past, he could not determine our present history. History repeats itself. If you try to misuse the power and misuse the ability of the youth in a wrong direction, surely the country will be destroyed, and none will be able to save the country in future, in due course. There will be a lot of ethnic violences, and there will be a lot of such quarrels and fightings and riots that will not only destabilize the political system, rather it will destroy our entire peace and serenity of the country, and the financial growth, that economic progress will be badly affected. Then please guide your children in the certain direction, so that they will be grown as politically very aware, and they will be grown as successful young people, conscious young people, and aware of all this political gaming. And you know that we have noticed that in the very recent years that gaming only took the lives of a lot of innocent people, those who had nothing to do with politics. However, in order to create or instill fear, this type of practice has been going on. And you know that whenever people are intimidated, when the people are terrified by following all sort of suppressive measures, this ultimately give its repercussion in the form of revolt and revenge. And because of this revolt and revenge, ultimately the country loses its position, and the foreign power, those who are just instigating these people, and some people are giving them indirect support, they will be active here, and our country will be lost in their hand. They will just occupy more and more authority and power in indirect way, and they will control all these things with their extraterritorial authorities. Um, the biggest capitalist country, America, Germany, England, and all these countries togetherly, they are supporting Israel. Why? Because by supporting Israel, they are trying to dominate the entire world in the culture of Christianity. Means they are trying to show their power as the Christian authorities, and they are using the power of Israel as puppet. And as soon as they will control Israel in their own hand completely, they will misuse this power, and ultimately Israel will also be completely destroyed. This will happen, and there is nothing to think in a negative direction. You have to think positively and make your children understand what is the real objective of life. They should be made ready to just face their own life by doing something positive. They must grow them as successful and very developed youth, and they would just participate in the progress of our country, not in destroying the country. Destabilizing the country's peace and serenity by creating violence, by creating riots, by instigating people in the name of religion, they will lose their religious identity also. Means in this way, the entire country will be badly affected. Please, instead of being affected or acquired or influenced by those plotters, those who are making plots, making their crooked plans as to how they will remain in power for ever and ever, save your children from being affected, from being just destroyed by them. If you are not conscious at this time, you won't be able to just repair the loss, loss of your own children's ability and power and quality. It will be irreparable for the future generation. Please be concerned and try to guide your children properly, so that our country will live in prosperity, live in peace and serenity, and our country will have a lot of prosperity in future. Thank you all. Have a nice time and have a nice mind. Just erase or just reduce the number of andhavaks, those who are blind followers of any ism or any sort of that type of panth or practices. These are not mostly religious. Be truly religious, believe in our Creator, and practice your own true humanistic religion to remain as human being. Thank you all. Have a nice time.